Chapter 16 is a fascinating chapter. It's about organizational culture. Now I got to be careful not to go too long here, but let me just give you the lowdown on this as far as from my view. Culture is, now contrary to what you've been taught, not all culture is sacred. In fact, what we want in an organization, and only be truly successful, we need people to adapt or become part of or change their culture when they join another culture. Okay, this is why they used to call the United States a melting pot, and now they call it a fruit salad. Well, this is a sure way to get a dysfunctional organizational culture, is when you have everybody all over the map. Now, we're not talking about ideas and innovation here, but what we are talking about is understanding the fundamental processes within an organization. I just can't change those necessarily or out of a whim because I don't happen to like them. What we're searching for here is the most successful culture. I mean, you want to try a little experiment. How does it work to have a mom and a dad that are married and they don't see eye to eye on anything? I mean, what do you call a couple like that, a married couple like that? You call them divorced after a while because they end up driving each other crazy and there's constant friction. If you're going to be married, you have to become part of, you have to create a family culture that's similar. Not that they are the same people, because it's far from that. And not that they don't have their own ideas, and we don't want to seek people with the same ideas, but culture is not sacred. And that's true of every culture. What we're looking for is what works best. What are those habits? Because culture is a learned behavior. It is not something that's just in us. It is learned. Maybe you have, I don't know, ham on Thanksgiving and we have turkey. That's how grandma always did it. That's our culture. We're after what works best. And if we need to change the culture, in fact, that's why I'm having you read that book, Change the Culture, Change the Organization, because that's what is required to move from failure to success. And this has import all over the place. This is why you must speak a common language in a culture. You got to think the same way. This is why people that move to the United States, if they want to be successful, have to learn English. Because if they don't, and I've talked to plenty of people that have moved here, and including my grandparents, the first thing you do is learn English because that's the road to success. Not that you have to abandon your other language that you know. I mean, it's a neat thing to know. But to be successful in this culture, in a business culture, in just to get things done, you need a common language. Now, are there cultures, subcultures within every organization? Absolutely, positively. And you want that to a certain degree, but there has to be an underlying base of, hey, we're all in this, we're all IBM, we're all Apple Computer. They have a culture, and you want a culture that succeeds. Walmart has effectively destroyed Sears because the culture Sears had and the business model was not effective. They became, we're not going to get into that. That's a little different issue. But organizations that are able to adapt and change as necessary are those that survive over time. Those that want to live like it's 1960 and they want to have the same habits as they did organizationally then as now as they did then are doomed. They're not going to survive. So when we talk about org behavior and organizational culture, it's understanding the different types of processes, the way we do things. And there's formal and there's informal. So when you read through this, understand, and here's some primary characteristics that capture the essence of an organization's culture. We have to make value judgments, innovation, risk-taking, attention to detail, outcome orientation. If you're going to hire somebody, you hire based on their skill set. And that's true, and this is the thing that kind of bothers me sometimes. Diversity in an organization is often sadly reduced to people's complexion and where they're from, versus real diversity, which is diversity of skills. We want, if you have a skill, I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your native language is. If you've got a skill and we can converse, we can communicate, we have a reason to talk, and we're going to be successful together. Now, this is why when you go to a different, and this works the other direction as well, if you're going to go work in China, you had better learn Chinese culture, business culture for sure, if you're going to be successful there. Critical mass. It is, and I can't think of the word right now, but it's a cultural, it's where you adapt and change your culture to fit into. It's like when in Rome, do as the Romans kind of a thing. But that's essentially what this chapter is about. Defining organizational cultures, its characteristics, common goals. If you're going to create a strong family, you need a strong family culture. And you need leadership, and it needs to be repeated. That's how you get culture remembered and replicated. Is it's repeated over and over again. It's how we do things. It's how we look at it. And we have to make value judgments. Not all organizational cultures are successful. We see that in ball teams. And sports analogies kind of get old, I realize, but they are accurate and honest in the sense that one person, think of this, one person can be an utter failure in one ball team, football, baseball, whatever. They go to another team and instantly they're a success. Why is that? What's changed? Well, what's changed is they're in a culture, they're in a system that fits them. So understand what I'm talking about here. I'm looking at this as a means to an end. Let's choose what's best. Let's choose the habits that are most desirable in order to reach the goals that the organization has, in order to serve whatever market, whatever audience that they are tasked with serving. Okay, this is not a social experiment. This is a means to an end. Okay, and that's really, I think, all I'm going to talk about here. Again, do pay attention to the, let me get to the end here. I don't think they might not be on here, but summary and implications for managers. We've got objective factors, attention to detail. Those are desirable characteristics, and then we could probably make the list longer. Perceived as org culture. What is the strength or weakness of those within that organization? That's going to lead to either higher performance or lower performance. Satisfaction for those that are in that organization that believe in those behaviors or don't. If you don't believe in them, you shouldn't be in that organization. Out you should go. So anyway, you read carefully. This is a critical chapter in the sense that you need this to understand, because these are the gears within the machine that an organization is in order to make it run. And this has implications, honestly, for leadership. Leadership's one of the biggest things for a new leader to come in is to change the culture. Sadly, oftentimes the only way to change a culture is to get rid of the people that are in the failing culture, that know the old team, the old coach. Out, they probably have to go if they're unwilling to change and do things a new way. So there you go. Study that, read that. That might run contrary to what you've been taught in other areas, but if you're going to survive and prosper, if you're going to create a family, and not I'm not talking about a related sense here now, but if you're going to create people that pull in the same direction, they have to sing from the same sheet of music. Not to get rid of differences, but to focus energy. Thanks very much.